The Bostonian is Matt Perrault.
This is our city.
The Book is Dave Sharapan.
Pay him. Pay that man his money.
Together, they are the Bostonian versus the Book.
You covered! You covered 12! Covered!
Follow the show on Twitter at Boston versus the Book.
How do you like them apples?
Bringing you the best insight on sports betting news, Matt and Dave's daily picks, and an entertaining and unfiltered dive into the sports betting industry. Here's Dave Sharapan and Matt Perrault.
And here we go.
What's up, Brigade? How are you? Welcome into a Tuesday episode of the Bostonian versus the Book. My name is Matt Perrault. We are live on our YouTube channel at Boston versus the Book and on our same Twitter handle at Boston versus the Book. The mouth, it's a little numb. It's a little numb. We're getting back. We're an hour later than normal because I had a dentist appointment first thing this morning. They had to numb me up to do some stuff. So I apologize for being on an hour late. If you're watching the replay, though, on Sports Grid TV or listening on SiriusXM, channel 159, we are right on schedule. I watched the show for the first time. I had a little bit of I don't know. I wanted to see what the show was going to be like for a bit, get used to doing it solo before I watched it on Sports Grid. So 10 p.m. Pacific time, Monday through Friday, we are on for 1 hour on Sports Grid. The show was pretty good yesterday. I was pretty happy with the way it turned out. And I'm a pretty critical person. I watch with a critical eye, like a professor's eye, to say what I liked, what I didn't like, what would I change, what I wouldn't change. So good stuff. I like it. If you guys are watching on the replay on Sports Grid, you can always go and write stuff during the show on Twitter X. Chances are I'll see it at Boston versus the Book. Thoughts, arguments, tell me I look dumb. I don't know. Do whatever you got to do. So good stuff there with us. Today, obviously, a Tuesday. We are now done with week 2 of the NFL preseason. Kind of thankfully with that. We'll get to the Bengals and the Commanders a bit later on in the program. But Steve Ruddock, author of the Straight to the Point newsletter, will join us, gaming analyst, about what's going on with Kalshi. There's a lot going on with Kalshi. It's a very interesting topic. It's a very interesting story. We'll get Steve's opinion as to what will happen now that the markets are live for NFL sides, totals, and prop bets. And oh yeah, by the way, Robinhood is now right behind it. So Kalshi and Robinhood, there is some thought about what they're doing together. And so now you have Kalshi offering NFL betting and Robinhood to be offering NFL betting, all under the guise of a prediction market. So stay tuned for that. But I want to give you guys a quick update on Dave. And he has asked me to not tell you everything. So the last thing that Dave said to me walking out from his room yesterday was, hey, keep this quiet. And he had a good day yesterday. So he asked me to keep it quiet, but yesterday was a good day. Chris Andrews from the South Point is an absolute gentleman. And him and I together went to go see Dave, and it was a really nice visit. And we talked. I thought Dave looked better. He was able to move much more than he had just a week earlier when I was there on Wednesday. So a good day yesterday. Not every day is going to be a good day. Some days are going to be bad. You know, a little bit forward, a little bit back, a little bit forward, a little bit back. And when you go back, you don't want to go as far back. You want to go farther forward. So the definition of always forward, never straight, as to how we're doing this, just little by little, just move it forward. Just keep the ball advancing down the field. So Dave was himself yesterday, and it was really nice to see him. And it was awesome to hang out with Chris Andrews for a little while and get there to see Dave. So good day yesterday. Wanted to pass that along to all you guys. I know you're very concerned and interested as to what's going on with the consig. We miss him terribly on this show, but good day yesterday. And it's always nice to see, right? When someone's going through some tough times and going through it, to have a good day, it was nice. So if anything else happens this week, I'll let you guys know. He is not going to be at Circa on Thursday. He is not going to be at Circa on Friday. Just so you know, live shows Thursday and Friday. We will be in the main ballroom for the Ultimate Football Contest weekend. Dave had hoped to have been there. We wanted to do a party for him, and we wanted to do a celebratory thing with him, but that's not going to happen, obviously, because he has a much longer road ahead of him than we thought. So he will not be there Thursday, Friday, but in the near future, at some point when he is up to it, we will do something special for Dave to hopefully celebrate him. But we're a ways away from being ready to do that. We'll just, for now, we'll just take a good day. A good day is definitely enough. Let's talk some baseball before we get to talking about Kalshi. Opening line, realignment for Major League Baseball. Are we going to actually do this? All right, opening line for us with Major League Baseball, realignment and expansion. Is this for real, or is this a bargaining chip for Rob Manfred as we head towards what could be a lockout and or strike for Major League Baseball following the 2026 season? So over the weekend, the Major League Baseball went to Williamsport, and Rob Manfred was on Fox, and he gave a lengthy interview during the Mets and the Mariners game. And he basically confirmed that Major League Baseball would like to have an expansion team or two in the very near future. There are 30 Major League Baseball teams. They would like to have 16 teams in each side, each league, if you will. And to have it with 32, 16 and 16, you would then have four team divisions. But with that would come geographical realignment to Major League Baseball. And that has gone over like a fart in church, because total destruction. Baseball fans torch the idea. Realignment could be great on one condition: you don't get rid of the American League and the National League. The New York Post called it radical. The Fox News called it teasing realignment with expansion for Rob Manfred, but baseball fans torching the idea. Well, let's just talk about it from a big picture perspective before we torch the idea, because Rob Manfred has had some pretty good ideas recently. The pitch clock was a good idea. I like the pitch clock. I like the fact that relievers come in, and relievers must now face 3 batters before they are taken out of the game or the last out of the inning. But I like all of that. Those are good ideas. The ghost runner is a horrendous idea, and the ghost runner has been one of the worst ideas in recent memory in sports. But take the good with the bad. Bigger bases, I'm not really in love with the bigger bases, but fine, I'll take the bigger bases if I have to. So you look at baseball and the fact that they're trying to get themselves into a position where they can compete, and they're never going to compete with football, but they want to try to compete just from a standpoint of broadcasting games and how many different platforms can they put games on, and what window do they need to be. 3 hours is that sweet spot, right? 2.5 hours is what they want. 2 hours would be great, but they're looking at, no more than 3 hours for a baseball game. So travel obviously is a big concern. Like, why are the Tampa Bay Rays in the same division as the Toronto Blue Jays? That doesn't make a lot of sense geographically, right? They're in the same time zone, which is cool, but geographically, it doesn't make a lick of sense. We have multiple teams in the Northeast that essentially could be a bus league if you wanted it to be, given how far away they are from each other. Yet baseball decides to have, major distances between these teams, right? So in the AL West, we have Houston and Texas, and we have Seattle in the same division. That doesn't make any sense, right? I mean, that's geographically nonsense, right? Huge amounts of travel budget and time that is spent in airports and airlines. They're charter planes, but they're still having to go to an airport and get on a plane and then fly, right? So there is something to be said about baseball potentially looking to re-examine its future as to what it would look like. If baseball ended today for the postseason, this is what the playoffs would look like today. The Mets would play the Dodgers. It's a 3-game series, by new, so there's no travel there, but it's like, okay, that's interesting. Cubs and the Padres, Yankees, Red Sox is tremendous. Astros and the Mariners, but that's travel, right? I mean, that's a pretty good flight for Seattle. It's a really big flight for the Mets to have to fly to Los Angeles to go play. And then the winner plays the Phillies. The Cubs and the Brewers would be amazing. That would be an amazing series. Red Sox Yankees in a wild card series would be nuts. And then the winner plays the Tigers, which would be tremendous, right? So that's all fine and good. But this is when people get pissed off. They get mad when we start talking about realignment and we're going to lose some pretty big rivalries, divisional rivalries, and the American League and the National League would go away. It would be, and this is the proposal, the AL and the NL, but unlike anything you've ever seen. That division in the AL Northeast is insane. Yankees, Red Sox, Phillies, and the Mets. I would love to be in the Mid-Atlantic. The Mid-Atlantic is awesome. Nats, Pirates, Guardians, Orioles. Okay. The Great Lakes region, and these are all hypothetical now, okay? But Toronto is kind of an anomaly. What do you do with the Blue Jays? So you put them in the same thing as the Twins and the Tigers and the Brewers? Yeah. And then the Southeast, there would be a Charlotte team, hypothetically. That would be an expansion team. And then Tampa Bay in the same division as the Braves and the Marlins makes a ton of sense. The Midwest in the NL is maybe the most interesting outside of the AL Northeast. Cubs, White Sox, Cardinals, Reds is awesome. Like that's an awesome division. Central being the Rockies, Royals, Rangers, Astros. No, thank you. Don't really like that. The Southwest, Dodgers, Padres, Angels, Diamondbacks, just like the NL West now. It's a pretty good power there. You're adding the Angels, and then you're taking the Northeast division with Seattle, Vegas, the Giants, and then a Portland team. Vegas being the farthest away from the other three, but you're coming to Vegas, so I guess that's your benefit. This is just one hypothetical that Fox Sports put out by this. I don't hate it. I don't love it, but I don't hate it. You can talk me into this in terms of how the playoffs would be. You can talk me into it based upon the rivalries, because Cubs and the Cardinals stays. Red Sox and the Yankees stay. The Brewers and the Cubs, that goes away from a divisional rivalry standpoint. That would stink. And there are some other natural rivalries that would be taken down if we went ahead and did this. So I do understand why there's a kickback there going, whoa, whoa, whoa. Because the American League and National League, I mean, we have seen teams one or two move around, right? Switch from an American League team to a National League team like the Brewers did. But we would be completely altering anything that we've seen in baseball. And this has been something that for a couple of years now, Major League Baseball has thought about. Fans and, by the sounds of it, players alike are not in love with this idea. And this all could just be saber rattling for baseball when it comes to the negotiations that are going to go into what's going to happen next, because Major League Baseball wants a salary cap. And as you heard, when Bryce Harper saw Rob Manfred in the Philadelphia clubhouse say the words salary cap, he told him to get the bleep out of the clubhouse. He didn't bleep it out. He said the word to the commissioner. The players are not going to be okay with a salary cap. They want a minimum. They want a salary floor, which I'm in support of. I would like to see a salary cap at some point, but the players want nothing to do with it. And they're going to fight tooth and nail to prevent it from happening. So maybe there is some negotiations going on publicly by Manfred by saying, okay, well, if you don't want a salary cap, we're going to cut travel down dramatically because we can't afford this anymore. So here's the new look for all the divisions, and we're going to fundamentally change the way the game looks going forward. Again, I'm not entirely against it. I don't love it, but I don't hate it either. I mean, I don't hate it. It would make it would freshen up the sport, that's for sure. But baseball's never been about freshening it up. It's always been about history. But as long as the Yankees and the Red Sox are in the same division, for me, I'm okay. As long as the Cubs and the Cardinals are in the same division, I'm okay. just the geographical rivalries. It makes the Yankees and the Mets blood feud, and the same thing with the Cubs and the White Sox. That's cool. Angels, Dodgers. That's cool. I like that idea. And, travel wise, it is much easier to travel Boston, New York, Philadelphia, those three cities along the I-95 corridor, all being in the same division. That makes sense. Like, it's hard to push back on that and say that's a dumb idea, except that the Phillies have never been in the same league as the Red Sox. So, okay. There once was a time when the National League never played the American League until the World Series. We didn't have divisions. We had two leagues. Then we made divisions. Then we made wild cards. And now we might be fundamentally altering how many divisions and where the teams are located and how many playoff teams we're going to have and what the playoffs look like. And so, again, I'm all right with baseball going through this fundamental change conversation because I do think ultimately we'll get the answers. We'll get it right if we take time. I just wonder how much of this is just a negotiation ploy by Rob Manfred and how serious is he really? I know he wants expansion, and I think most people are okay with expansion. The people in Vegas are angry because we want an expansion team. We don't want the A's. So we got the A's, and then Charlotte and Portland might wind up getting the expansion teams. I would put it in Nashville personally, but that's just me. That's kind of frustrating. That baseball is going to expand. They're just not going to expand to Vegas because the A's are coming to Vegas. That's kind of a bummer. All right. We talked about this a bit yesterday. Steve Ruddock will join us here in just 1 second. Kalshi has decided that they are going to be in the NFL single game market, sides, totals, and prop betting. How is this not sports gambling? Steve Ruddock joining us here in the Bostonian versus the Book. Steve, good to see you. How are you?
Good, Matt. How you doing?
Doing great. Thank you for coming on. I'm at a loss again. I just understand for the layman, how is this possible that Kalshi is now able to offer these offerings for the upcoming NFL season?
Yeah, so it's all a matter of these court cases that are still unfolding. So you have Kalshi claiming only the CFTC can say what they offer and if they've gone too far. The CFTC is basically like a one-woman show at the moment and eventually be a one-man show. If Quintenz is ever confirmed, who knows what's going on there.
Is that 3 times, by the way? Has it been 3 separate times they've pushed that vote back?
We're on our third. So
we're on our third.
Okay. Canceled it twice. And this is only the committee stage. We haven't even gotten to the full Senate yet. So who knows what's going on there. But until the CFTC says, hey, stop doing that, Kalshi's going to keep doing it. And until the courts say, hey, you can't do that, Kalshi's going to keep doing it. So we're in this situation right now. I guess if you were a sports book, a traditional sports book, you could look at it one of 2 ways. Either this is your next door neighbor building a stone wall in the middle of the night on your property line and then being like, well, take it up with the town. Right. Or it's even worse than that. It's basically squatters have moved into your house while you're on vacation. And now you have to go through a legal process to get them out. So we're somewhere in between those 2 really bad analogies of where this is right now.
I like the analogy a lot. It's actually really good. The semantics that this company has is incredible to me. So Sarah Slane, who I read an article today that asked, I wonder what 2017 Sarah Slane thinks of 2025 Sarah Slane, which I think is a great question, given how much she advocated against any type of illegal activity or non-traditional sports gaming in America, but that's beside the point. She is quoted to Front Office Sports as saying, this is a natural progression in our offerings, and clearly there's huge consumer demand. My question is this, Steve. There's huge consumer demand for sports gambling. Is there huge consumer demand for prediction markets?
Yeah, as long as it fills in for sports betting where sports betting's not been legalized yet. I mean, There's a huge consumer demand for any type of product that even vaguely resembles sports betting in markets where there isn't legal sports betting. The big question is, how far can they go with this? Can they start doing single game parlays? Do they have the there are kind of rules under the CFTC where you kind of have to have money on hand for things. So it's a big question right now of how far they can go with it and what does the product look like. So when legal sports betting does drop in California in 2063 or whenever it happens, is Kalshi so far ahead of the game that nobody cares about the DraftKings or FanDuels anymore? Or is it a situation where, hey, this is just a placeholder, and once we get the real thing that has everything we want, then we're just going to switch over to that?
So on your newsletter, Straight to the Point today, you linked to this article being written by one of our good friends in the industry. But this is the contracts that are currently being traded on Kalshi, and that sports markets are accounting for more than 2/3 of the volume. And the top 20 markets represented 85% of all the trading on Kalshi. And that the NFL, even in the preseason, the NFL is a top 10 sports or market for Kalshi. What is this graph going to look like? Because the big bar is the PGA right now. That's the leader. But what's that going to look like if they're allowed to operate during the NFL season? It's going to be all NFL money, is it not?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if 90% plus of their trading volume is sports related at that point, which I hate this term, but it begs the question, like, are you a prediction market offering sports markets, or are you a sports betting company offering prediction market products as well? Because if you can call your donut shop a donut shop, but if 90% of your volume is in coffee, you're a coffee shop that sells donuts. Like, we kind of have to separate what you are with what you're saying you are at some point. And right now, all on Twitter today, I think everybody's kind of summing it up properly, which is, can we just call this what it is and, move on from there? Let's make the distinction after the fact, opposed to let's say this is some random thing that everyone knows it is not. You could make that case with their previous products where they were just offering yes or no products. So these were typical, commodity type products. They're just happening around sports betting.
Right.
But what's the financial significance of offering that? Yes or no, will the Milwaukee Brewers win the game? Versus yes or no, will the Milwaukee Brewers score 4.5 runs?
Right.
Like, this is where we start getting into you're starting to call it something that it's not anymore.
Well, the other quote here in a statement that was quoted by Front Office Sports, Tariq Mansour says, bringing these markets under CFTC oversight will help protect consumers. Well, my question is, obviously he wants everything under the CFTC, because if it's not, he's then operating illegally and he'll be shut down by every state he's currently operating in. So the only reason why Kalshi is allowed to do what they're doing is because they're operating underneath the CFTC's guidelines in their mind as terms of who they're answering to. But who is watching these markets? Is the CFTC monitoring tiny micro markets or, prop betting markets for any impropriety? Who is the watchdog for any issues going on, if there is one, when it comes to a prediction market?
I wrote about this a bit ago, so I'm probably going to just totally fumble the numbers here, but I believe the CFTC oversees like 2 trillion or 3 trillion in trades, and the sports betting thing is maybe 200 billion. This is a staff of 600 and something people. A few dozen were just let go in the cuts that have been going on. When I asked AI, how many people would it take to oversee sports betting nationally, it spit out a number that was, I believe, about 1,500 based on current regulatory head counts, right? And we know a lot of these regulatory bodies have like 3 people, right? These aren't like massive organizations either. So we're looking at something where I've said in the past, it's not a matter of should they be in charge of it? It's can they be in charge of it? Okay. Do they actually have the oversight capability for this? And maybe that's why they're just saying nothing about it and letting it play out in courts. Because if they came out and said, yeah, we're okay with these, not as opposed to what they're doing now, which is we're just not going to say we're not okay. So is that why they're quiet over there? Is that because, hey, we don't want to be the ones that are saying we can do this, and then everything goes to hell when something blows up? I mean, we have the Kalshi lawyer at Nickel G said something about these are grown adults. If they want to lose their shirt, they can.
Oh my!
And you have today, or yesterday, Tarek saying, hey, it's good to be under CFTC regulation. It's like, well, if the CFTC regulation allows anybody to bet whatever they want and lose their shirt, as whoever was representing you at Nickel G said, I think we have kind of a mistaken we have a mistake in how we're approaching this from the responsible gaming standpoint.
Right. All that money that's been poured into responsible gaming, all that KYC situations, all of those, all the money is being poured into both federally and statewide when it comes to problem gaming. We're just going to forget all that. Like, it doesn't apply to prediction markets. Like, it's all out the window.
Yeah. I mean, and don't get me wrong. Like, if CFTC is in charge of this, I hope that it gets regulated properly. That's my big thing with whatever it is. I would like whatever is being on offer to be properly regulated and have some safeguards in place that don't make me like cringe when I have to, write about it in the industry. So I think that where we're headed right now, it's, I would say that if you think right now that if the CFTC signed off on something, just absolutely, that they wouldn't offer anything and everything you can think of, probably right up to Little League World Series. I don't know if you've been paying attention, because they have not shown any signs of slowing down. They've thrown up a Luigi Mangione contract at one point.
Yep.
Will Shohei Ohtani be arrested? I don't know where the guardrails are right now for this.
Oh, there are no guardrails at the moment. I mean, it's the only thing they can't do is predict war. That's basically the only thing that they've been shot down with, literally, when it comes to putting up any type of market like that. They cannot do that, or anything that has to do with, like, the Luigi thing is bordering on that. Like, that you can't go and have it be where someone gets hurt, commits a crime, war, those types of things are the only thing right now that the Kalshi won't put up. They'll put up everything else. And there's two more wrinkles here. The first being Robinhood is now going to launch pro football and college football prediction markets within the Robinhood app. This is going to include all NFL, NCAA Power 4 Conference regular season games, and the launch comes days after Kalshi announces its own expanded football for prediction markets. So what is the connection between Robinhood and Kalshi? Everyone's trying to figure this out. Are they in bed together? Are they linked, or are they separate? Yeah,
so they have some type of agreement where Kalshi's contracts can go into the Robinhood app. So basically what you're doing is if you're placing transactions, what are we calling these? I don't know. Transactions on Robinhood, you're really placing them through Kalshi.
It's a bet. Let's call it a bet.
Those are going through Kalshi. I mean, somebody put it pretty bluntly on X today, which he writes a very good Substack prediction newsletter. Dustin has a great one, Dustin Goker. Yep. It's called 50 Cent Dollar. 50 Cent Dollars. I might be mistaking those. Okay. But he said he's like, they're not going to say the quiet part out loud, which is this is through Kalshi, because Robinhood is also taking a fee on it. They're taking a fee on the Kalshi one. So and at the end of the day, I think this is where a lot of people that are like, oh, well, this is good because we won't have to deal with that sports betting tax loss. We won't have to deal with all these crazy regulations in states. Yeah, but when there's money there, there's always somebody taking pieces of that money. And eventually you're not going to get any better of a price than you would at a traditional sports book, because somebody's going to be sitting there trying to take their cut. And then the next person comes along and takes a cut of that. And next thing you know, you're paying 25 cents extra on every bet the same way.
And then the last question I got for you, and this is, I know you're not a lawyer, but Nevada has asked Kalshi to release communications for Discovery, saying that they're arguing that they need Discovery to determine if Kalshi's sports event contracts are legal. They want the emails. They want the transactions going back and forth between Kalshi executives and everyone involved in this, so they can then track it. Does that have legs? Could that happen?
It could. So this is pretty much how every time you see a massive settlement from a company, it's usually because they don't want to go through discovery, which is, it's one of those things where, like, I do not want to show you all of my internal communications on this topic. So it gets a little tricky. I said this months ago when Andrew Kim was on my podcast. I was like, discovery would be the craziest thing we've seen so far. Because, I mean, let's be serious here. This company is very much a let's move really fast and break lots of things along the way,
right?
Type of company. So yeah, if that happens, so they've come back and said that it's unnecessary, completely unnecessary. It doesn't really get to the crux of the case. We'll see what the Nevada judge thinks. Sorry. But yeah, it's one of those things where if it does happen, I'll be very interested. I don't like to read a lot of court cases and legal documents. I let some of the others do that unless I absolutely have to.
Right.
But that one I would read straight through.
Well, I mean, Nevada writes, Kalshi asserts that no discovery is necessary to resolve this case because the principal issue is one of preemption. But to decide whether Nevada's gaming laws are preempted, the court will need to know key facts about Kalshi's products, and none of those facts have been developed. Although preemption questions sometimes are resolved on stipulated facts, the parties here have not agreed to the necessary facts, meaning we don't know what you're doing, because it's all in this like gobbledygook idea of, well, it's a prediction market. But what separates a prediction market from a sports bet? I ask everyone this question, Steve. Yeah. No one has a real answer to determine the differentiating other than some type of like mathematical equation about predictability and some level of investment as to what you do with the prediction market versus what you do with a sports gamble.
Most people would tell you that it has to do with the peer-to-peer nature is kind of what Kalshi's main argument is that we do this peer-to-peer, but not everybody is taking every side of the bets. So they have market makers. And that's one of the things that would come out in discovery, right? What's your deal with your market makers? What are they getting out of this? What have they said they will do? Right? There's all of these things that we don't know. And basically nobody wants us to know. I mean, it would be like asking sports books, hey, what's your market access revenue sharing arrangement with this casino? They won't tell you. I mean, they're not going to tell you, hey, by the way, that how we say that the casino makes out, they're only getting 4% of the revenue share, right? They're not going to tell you those types of things. So that's one of the things that I would say that discovery would shine a big light on.
Steve, thank you for the time. This story, I know it's inside school and I know it's not appealing to everyone, but I'm 48. I've been doing sports gambling content full time for nearly a decade now. And I've been doing media for over 20 years. This is one of the craziest stories I have ever covered because of the level of just blatant, I can't call it corruption because it's not, but it's just one of those weird things of like, I said it yesterday, like, it's peeing on us with like a fire hose and saying it's raining with what they're doing because there's nobody watching. The president's son is on the board. Brian Quintez is the former head of Kalshi. He's about to become the head of the CFTC, the same CFTC that Kalshi claims is the only people that actually can regulate them. We'll end it with this. Where are you on this story? Like, is this mind blowing to you, or is this sort of just another gaming story where it's crazy?
It's right up there. It's right up there with Black Friday and online poker. It's right up there with the overturn of PASPA. This is one of those watershed moments, and we really don't know which way it's going to be because in 5 years, this might be the biggest thing that ever happened, or it might be something that we're like, hey, remember that crazy 6 months back in 2025?
I hope you're right. I hope it's B. If folks want to get your newsletter, Steve, how can they do so?
Straight to the point.substack.com. You can always follow me on X. I don't post too often, but every now and then at Steve Ruddock. And hey, my best to Dave. If you see him, tell him thinking about him.
I saw him yesterday. Yeah, we'll do so. Steve, thank you for the time. We'll talk again soon. This story's not over. Well, I'm sure there's more wrinkles coming down the pike. Thanks for the time today.
Anytime, Matt.
That is Steve Ruddock, author of the Straight to the Point news. Why do I take myself off that? I hit the wrong button. I want that button. I want that button. That's the button that I want to come back. Look, I know that topic, for some people, it is catnip. For me, it's catnip. It's mind-blowing on so many levels. I can't get enough of it. It just makes my head explode because I feel like there should be such obvious conversations. I'm not a lawyer, but the semantic fight that's going on right now and the way that this company uses semantics for their advantage is truly amazing. And again, Sarah Slane, who is somebody who used to represent the American Gaming Association, is now one of the main mouthpieces for Kalshi. And so back in 2017, when PASPA was going, she was on my show like once every couple of months. Sarah Slane was on talking about why legalization, why we have to have oversight, why we need to eliminate the black market. And now she's out there advocating for this company and what they're doing and totally overriding everything she said in 2017 about states' rights and how states need to have regulation and why it's important for the states to be able to set their own laws. And I get it. A PR person is going to, sing like a canary for whoever's signing the paycheck. But my goodness gracious, you want to talk about a complete flip-flop. That is about as big of a flip-flop as you're going to get. So one of the crazier stories that I can ever remember, and we are nowhere near done with this story for Kalshi and whether or not they're going to be able to operate legally. Let's talk about what happened last night. All right, what happened last night? The Bengals beat the Commanders 31-17, but neither defense looked any good. I mean, my gosh, the kid that the 7th round pick scored a touchdown that our friend Andrew Erickson pointed out. He's not going to be a sleeper anymore, unfortunately. It's going to be he'll be a pretty popular pick because B-Rob's getting traded. Brian Robinson's getting traded. When, we don't know, but he didn't play last night, and it's all over the broadcast, so you know that that's going to happen at some point relatively soon, that a trade's going to happen for him. But you look at the offense for the Commanders, and it looked great. But I looked at the defense, for the Bengals, and it looked awful. And, I mean, overs in the Bengal games this year. Their offense is going to score. They're going to put up points. Burrow is going to have a big year. Burrow played a lot last night. I felt like Burrow was trying to send a message to his teammates and to the league, and because they've lost, week 1, week 2, they've lost consistently under Zach Taylor. So they're trying something different. They're trying to shake it up. I don't know if it'll matter or not, but that defense can't stop the run. Like whenever they play a running team, they're going to get gashed. And on the flip side, the Commanders are in have the same problem. Like they're not going to stop anybody either. So both those teams' offenses are going to be elite. Both those teams' defenses are going to be horrible. I don't expect much, in terms of championship moxie. I don't think either team is a serious contender for the Super Bowl, but let's see how it all plays out here as we go. But I don't like either defense, and I do like both offenses. So overs consistently for Bengals and the Commanders. And by the way, I think that's 2-15 for Dan Quinn as a head coach straight up in the preseason. He plays the Ravens next week for the last preseason game. Bet Ravens money line now. That's a Ravens play. ESPN is reporting that Micah Parsons and the Dallas Cowboys are likely to split. Now, in what way? We're not cutting him, but trading him? I don't know if Jerry Jones can handle that. I don't know if Jerry Jones is comfortable with that. I don't think the fan base is going to be comfortable with that, to go ahead and trade Micah Parsons. But that's what Adam Schefter is reporting, that these two sides are not going to coexist this season, that Micah Parsons could be elsewhere. Every team in the AFC has to be completely, ears up, eyeballs fixated, going, okay, Jer, what do you want? And if you take the conversations publicly that Parsons has had, and I don't really, but Patriot fans are all a buzz about this, because Micah Parsons this summer did say that he would be interested in playing for the Patriots, and the Patriots have the draft capital. The Patriots have the salary cap space to add Micah Parsons. I mean, you put him on the Patriots and it solves their biggest issue on defense, which is a dominant pass rusher at the moment. The Patriots have some good ones, but they don't have a dominant one. And you put Micah Parsons on the Patriots, and it would be wild to see what Mike Vrabel could do with him. I don't know if that's going to happen, but let's see. Is it true or is it just public, leaking a story to Schefter because you want it out there? We know that teams do that. We know agents do that. When they want the conversation to go, they'll leak it to Schefter. So is it true? We'll find out really soon, but that's a heck of a report. And yeah, I mean, Chef Benny, as a Patriot guy, you and me, Micah Parsons with the Patriots would be unbelievable if that were to go down. Now, we know ownership-wise, Jerry Jones and Robert Kraft are friends, so maybe there's some deal to be done there. But for the Cowboys to not have Micah Parsons, that would be pretty wild. Bryce Harper hit 2 massive home runs. In fact, the 2 longest home runs in a single game yesterday in the big win against the Mariners, as the Phillies continue to look like a team that's going to be a problem in the National League. Look, that place, the bank in October, is an unbelievable place to watch baseball. It's a really hard place to play. They got Christopher Sanchez going today. They just shut down Wheeler, which is a really bad story for them, for their pitching staff. So that's somewhat of a concern. But if Bryce Harper is going to be this hot and hit this many bombs, it may not work. It may not matter, to be quite honest. If you take a big look at it, it may just wind up being an opportunity for Bryce Harper, just, this offense to outscore teams and wind up winning games, 10-8, 9-7. And I know in the playoffs, that's hard to do, but their offense might need to carry them because their pitching staff is already pretty banged up. But for the Phillies right now, they're playing really good baseball at the same time that the Mets are still trying to find themselves and thus the lead that they've got in the National League Central. The Rockies walked off the Dodgers. After the Dodgers swept the Padres, they go and take on the Rockies and they get walked off 4-3 last night. This is remarkable because I know you tend to relax when you play the Rockies. It's the worst team in baseball. You sort of but these are the games that make me go, I don't know about the Dodgers. They just check out way too often for my liking. And they have so much talent. They have so many arms. They have too many arms, frankly. But you can't go and sweep the Padres and feel so good about yourself after you went into that series down by a game. You walked out of that series up 2 games. And you turn around and you lose the first game of that series to the Rockies. That's just it's one of those stories that make me go, I can't bet the Dodgers to win the World Series, even single game. Like, they may wind up get to the postseason. They may run through everybody, or maybe they get bounced quickly because they're not going to be a 1 seed. Okay. They're not going to have that advantage, although it wasn't really an advantage for most teams last year when it came to what's going on. But look at the bracket. This idea the Dodgers are bored, I don't know, man. I've seen that a bunch of times. They're just bored. I don't know if you can pass the board card in August, maybe in July, but in August, I mean, the Dodgers play the Mets, then they play the Phillies, then they play probably the Brewers. That is not an easy road. That's why we don't have back-to-back World Series champions. The Mets could be a problem for the Dodgers. The Phillies sure as hell will be a problem for the Dodgers. And then they can't beat the Brewers. They're 0-6 against the Brewers. That draw, by the way, the Padres are ecstatic with that draw. The Cubs aren't going to be easy, but they could beat the Cubs in Chicago. And then they go play Milwaukee. And if they hit, Milwaukee's going to have to pitch because we know the Padres have a chance to pitch. And then it could be Padres, Dodgers, potentially, or it could be Phillies and the Padres, or it could be Brewers and the Phillies. But from a Dodger perspective, that is not an easy path. That's not a walk in the park to just walk into the postseason and be like, okay, we got this. So, yeah, the idea is the Dodgers are just bored. That's it. It's not a big deal. But my gosh, look at the Red Sox path, CBW. Red Sox path is brutal. Unless you think the Yankees suck like I do. I mean, the Red Sox path. Oh, sorry. Let's get that off the screen. Red Sox path is there. I mean, that's Red Sox, Yankees, obviously historic, really tough. Tigers, really, really tough. That's going to be very difficult to get past. I'm not sure the Red Sox beat the Yankees in the playoffs, to be quite honest. I mean, I hope that they would, but I'm not positive. The Red Sox bullpen is a complete disaster right now. So that's got a problem written all over it. And they'd be at Yankee Stadium, by the way. Then you play the Tigers. Then after that, you play the top of the bracket, which is most likely going to be the Astros. To be, that's where I am most likely at with that. So, if the Mets were to beat the Dodgers, how about that? The Mets would go East Coast, West Coast, East Coast for their series. Phillies would love to see the Mets beat the Dodgers. That would be a huge break for them if they were going to go ahead and get that, if they can break that. Yeah. Sox got Crochet and Bayo. Bayo, I can't trust. I got Crochet, but I got Crochet against Scooble. I mean, Crochet against the Yankees. Okay, yes, I like that a lot. But wow, are we getting spam for the first time? We're getting spam. This is like a new thing for us. The channel must be growing. This is good. We're getting people in the chat. We're getting bots in the chat. We haven't had bots in the chat in a while. That's exciting. That's new for us on that. Cubs are beating the Brewers in top of the second. Okay, that's today, right? I bet the Cubs money line on that. So I took the Cubs at -130 on that. Let's see what the score there is. 2-0, top second. Okay. Look, Patrick started for the Brewers today. He hadn't started in a while, but like every game that Patrick starts for the Brewers lose. Dating all the way back to like May 1st. May 30th. Sorry. It's been a long time. So I like the Cubs today. Speaking of which, on all of that, we can get into it with just the picks. I took Cubs money line game 1. In game 2, bet the team that loses game 1 to win game 2. Woodruff goes in game 2 for the Brewers. Brewers won 7-0 in game 1. Game 2 got rained out. This is game 2 today. I like the Cubs to win game 1, take the Brewers to win game 2. So that's how I'll play that. If you're looking for a money line parlay today, Sanchez at home for the Phillies is lights out, and Scooble's going for the Tigers today. It's a +145 parlay if you want to jump in with a 2-leg money line parlay. If you want something else besides the Cubs game, go ahead and jump on that. I think the Tigers and the Phillies both win today. It's a decent money line parlay. Sanchez is undefeated at home. Scooble is Scooble at home. So Tigers beat the Astros yesterday, 10-0. And now you got Scooble going up against the Astros. The Astros are okay against lefties, but they don't score many runs against lefties. Tigers should win today. And the Phillies with Sanchez, I mean, look, Harper just was crazy yesterday. Sanchez is 7-0 at home. Mariners, they're a good team, but Phillies at home are a really difficult team. Phillies money line with Sanchez, Tigers money line with Scooble. Aces in the dream. This was the first time I have seen this in a while. This is an NBA line move. So this is going back to last year in the NBA, where Dave and I would talk a lot about the fact that the overnight lines in the NBA would often get hit, where the dog would then be bet before the limits opened. So the pros would drive the number down to a number that they like, and then they would tomahawk chop with a complete bankroll max dump on the favorite. So this number was down to 1. Opened at 2.5, was bet down to 1. It has now been bet up to 3.5 at certain books. 3.5. I have 1.5. The Aces have won 7 in a row, 9 of 10. They're at home. And the last time they played against the Dream, they beat them by 15 back in July. And that was before they kind of got right and they fixed themselves. So this is a big time for the Aces that they start to climb up the standings before they get to the postseason and improve. They're the 5 seed right now. They got to keep winning. And at home, it's Asia Wilson bobblehead night tonight. So I'm not saying that that's going to be anything to do with the game, but there's going to be a big crowd tonight on a Tuesday, where typically there wouldn't be a huge crowd for an Atlanta versus Aces game. There will be a gigantic crowd tonight with the Asia Wilson bobblehead giveaway going on at Michelob Ultra Arena. So big game, big crowd. hot aces. Lay the 1.5. You can find it, but I like the aces to win today to beat the Dream. That's going to be a lot of fun to see what's going to happen here. Aces minus 1.5 up against the Atlanta Dream tonight in the W. Prop bet of the day. After a 3-2 week last week, we missed on Monday. We took on under 5.5 strikeouts for Yuri Perez. He wound up with 6 yesterday. Let's go to the Mets and talk about David Peterson. Over 2.5 earned runs. Last 2 games against Atlanta, he gave up 6. Against Cleveland, he gave up 4. Those offenses aren't great. Those are offenses. Today, the Nats at home, the Nats can hit and the Nats can score. I think Peterson gets hit today, gives up some runs, 6 earned and 4 earned, as I said, in the last 2 for him. We're going to go over 2.5, and it's plus money. I mean, it's plus money here. Road start. Will he go 5 innings? Hopefully 5-6 innings. Give up 3 earned or more. David Peterson for the Mets over 2.5 earned runs at plus 125. All right, time now for the Circa Sports Pro Football Story of the Day. Reminder, Thursday, it's here. Thursday, Friday, this week, we are live at Circa for the Ultimate Football Contest weekend. I just got word before we hit the air today that Eric is back. Eric is going to produce the show for us on Thursday and Friday. He will sit in and co-host with me as well, live from Circa. So we haven't had Eric be back for a while. He's been off doing all sorts of cool and gallivanting things. We can get an update on Eric, but he's going to come in and be a part of the show on Thursday and on Friday. So he'll produce and co-host with me on Thursday and Friday. And Thursday, Derek Stevens at the top of the show. We will start the live show at 2 p.m. Eastern time, 11 a.m. Pacific time, with Derek Stevens, the grandmaster of it all, will join us for about 20 minutes talking everything about Missouri, talking about Illinois, talking about the Circa Million, talking about Circa Survivor, all that happening at 2 p.m. Eastern time live on Thursday. Then on Friday, we're going to bump the show 30 minutes early. Why? Jeffrey Benson will join us at the top of the show on Friday. Now, his schedule was a little crazy, so Circa asked us to start at 1:30 Eastern time, 10:30 Pacific time from the ballroom upstairs at Circa. So we got Benson on Friday for 30 minutes or so, 20 minutes or so coming up on Friday. So 2 o'clock Eastern on Thursday, 1:30 Eastern on Friday. Thursday is Derek Stevens. Friday is Jeffrey Benson. I believe right after Derek Stevens, Mike Palm will be on the program with us, and then other dignitaries as well. Smalls, I've already talked to Stephanie. She's stopping by to be on the show. We got some guys from teamrankings.com stopping on by the show. Who knows who's going to sit down? It's going to be a 2-hour, really fun day, but Eric Garcia will be with us for the show live. For you guys, if you aren't in Circa Million, if you're thinking about it, well, not a bad time to get into it. Survivor is Survivor, okay? They're going to blow through the guarantee. They're expecting potentially up to $20 million in that prize pool when it's all said and done. Circa Million, though, they may not get to the $6 million. There may be an overlay. You may have a really good shot at some decent odds on this. It's $1,000 to enter. You have the whole season, 5 weeks. You get entertainment for the entire week with 5 picks, 5 picks per week for 18 weeks in the regular season. Quarterly prizes, booby prizes, and more with Circa Million and a $1 million first place prize. Enter from Nevada. Play from anywhere as long as you hire a proxy. Coming up here, Circa Million, Circa Survivor, Ultimate Football Contest Weekend hits you this Thursday and Friday from Circa Sports. So we've talked already quite a bit about last night's game between the Bengals and the Commanders. We talked a little bit about what's going on with Micah Parsons and the Cowboys. The other big news in the NFL is the fact that the Colts today named Daniel Jones the starting quarterback over Anthony Richardson. Look, if you're a Colt fan, I don't really know what to tell you on this. I think there is some frustration if you are a Colt fan because you used a high draft pick on Anthony Richardson and you're determining, okay, we're going to put Daniel Jones, the veteran who played with the Giants, who was brought in to be a more competent version of Anthony Richardson. A-Rod is, or A-Rich, or whatever they call him now. I mean, he is I don't know. Like, as Eric says, this is officially putting Arch Manning on a Colt trajectory. I don't know. I think the Saints have got something to say for that. I actually think that Danny Dimes may actually be a pretty good fit for Shane Steichen in this offense. I think they actually might put some points up and surprise some people with this. They're going to run the ball, obviously, a ton with both quarterback and running back and Jonathan Taylor. So I don't hate the decision. I figured this was going to be the call when they did do this. I figured they were going to play Daniel Jones. It's just that Giant fans are having way too much fun with this today. Like, the Giants are running around laughing about all this, going like, come on, man. Like, what is this? But Daniel Jones starts week 1 for the Colts over Anthony Richardson, and they're going to continue to develop the kid, but you got to really wonder about his future in the NFL. That Daniel Jones comes in and beats him out. Is he going to be a starting quarterback again for the Colts? If not for the Colts, could he be traded? Could he be headed elsewhere now that Daniel Jones is going to be the starting quarterback for the Colts? Although Daniel Jones probably gets hurt by week 6. So if I'm Anthony Richardson, I'm not worried about it too much. He's going to play at some point this year, you would imagine. Brigade proxy story, or proxy stinger. Wrong one. Trying to be all slick, and I look away, and I hate the proxy stinger is right above the bonus time stinger. So apologize. That bonus time stinger is coming in a couple minutes, but jump the gun. Sorry on this. The Brigade Proxy Service college football story of the day. Now, this is what's happening for the Brigade Proxy Service. Okay. I've been sending out notes to people who've been texting us about what's happening. You guys probably know Vegas Proxy. Tom, the proxy, he's Proxy Tom as he goes on the Quest for 14.2 million documentary that's currently airing on YouTube, VSiN, a bunch of other places. He has stepped up to help us do the proxy service this year. So if you are a Brigade Proxy Service member, you are going to work with Tom. You're still going to be our customer. And Tom is going to give 100% of the money that would be paid to the Brigade Proxy Service and or now him for doing the picks this year. He is going to donate 100% of that money to Dave and Jessica. So he is going to do the proxy picks for free. So you can either go to him directly or come to us, and I will give you the phone number and the website and push you to Tom for that. But that guy is a saint. The proxy business is pretty cutthroat. Okay. It's, a lot, because there's nothing really that differentiates all the proxies besides customer service, right? Like how you enter the picks. Circa doesn't care. Circa just wants the picks to be entered in correctly. How you enter it in incorrectly is entirely up to your own system and however you're going to do it. We have ours. Dave and I have ours. But in our admin team and everyone, like our operation is one way. Tom is another way. Other proxy services are another way. But he is going to step up big time and help us, because we are 100% committed to keeping the Brigade Proxy Service going next year when Dave is healthy enough to do it. But Dave is not healthy enough to do it. It would put too big of a strain on his family to do it. I'm about to have surgery in New England and go through that whole thing. So it's just a whole waterfall of problems for us this year. And Tom stepped up and said, guys, I got you. So him doing it is awesome. And I tried multiple times to offer him compensation for putting the picks in this year, because it is a lot of work. And he has said no at every turn. He said, no. I do not want to be compensated. I'm going to do this because Dave and Jessica need this. So you guys, your customers, will pay me, and I'll give the money straight to Dave and Jessica. So unbelievable gesture, unbelievable sainthood for Proxy Tom, and huge thank you. He'll be on the show Thursday and Friday, or one of the 2 days. He'll be on the show, talk more about it, to give us more details about it. But that is if you're wondering, like, what are we doing for the proxy service? That is what we are doing, because in the next 2 weeks, the vast majority of people will sign up. And a lot of you are coming to town to sign up. And I'm simply just giving you over to Tom to set up the time to sign up and to go ahead and have him explain the way you're going to submit your picks this year. If you've already signed up with us, with the Brigade Proxy Service, understand that you are in very good hands, and I can connect you to Tom. Just send me a text message. Go ahead and text us at 702-570-8255. Send the text. I'll connect you with Tom for us when it comes to that. I got to pause because we got to say goodbye to our friends on the replay on Sports Grid TV and Sirius XM. Thank you for being here. We'll do the Brigade Proxy Service college football story and other topics as well in bonus time. You can go and get it on our YouTube channel at Boston versus the Book to go watch bonus time. But for the rest of you who are live, you get bonus time right now. Oh, the spammers are back. Look at the spammers. We need our wrenches. Where are our wrenches? Mikey, awesome. I see you in the thing. Get rid of the spammers. Oh, now they're gone. Nice. No, they're not. They're there. We need our wrenches to get rid of the folks. Take off. Get rid of them. Steve, is this for the whole year or until you're back in Vegas? This is for the whole season, because we don't believe it is nice, appropriate, smart to have you guys submit one way and then midstream go ahead and pivot and submit another way. So we had that conversation. They're like, okay, Matt, when you're back in Vegas, what do we do? Because he's going to do it for September, but you're back in the end of September, you're back in Vegas, so you could do the picks. Yes, I could do the picks. It doesn't make any sense because you guys would have to learn another system, and that's not fair. So if you are a current member, and Steve, I know you signed up with Dave, you will be handed off to Tom. And if you need me to make the introduction, I can do so if you need the full information. But Tom's system is different than our system. And Tom will have you guys run a practice before the season begins so you guys are comfortable. We fully anticipate being back next year, ready to go. But Dave is not home yet. So until that happens, I mean, we're so far away from anything. And then when Dave goes home, Dave has to readjust to living at home. And like, there's just a really long story to be told at some point that Dave will be the one to tell. Because Steve, I know you saw Dave when he was here, and I'm sure you were like, okay, he's going to recover. And we all thought that too, but the fall has changed a lot. And so he's got a much longer road ahead of him. And so for this football season, it's just not fair or smart. Because what if you guys are in the running for the millions? What if you guys are in the running for Circus Survivor and we make a mistake because of something happens? So it's better just to alleviate the concern and make sure the picks are put in properly by somebody who is an absolute pro, who is willing to step up and help us. And this has been like our friend in the industry. Tom has been a guy that we have talked to a ton about the proxy industry. And while we are competitors, we don't view each other as such. So there could be a relationship after the fact. There could be a combining. There could be a melding of the two companies. I don't know what happens after this. But for the immediate future right now, we're going to take care of everybody who has signed up, and Tom is not taking a dime for doing it. So that is unbelievable on his part to do that. I can't believe that Tom, I tried multiple times to do this and say, hey, this is, this is something you should be compensated for. And he said, no. So once we, Tom will be on the show. If you guys don't know who Proxy Tom is, you can just wait and watch and see. I mean, we're still 3 weeks away from the start of the NFL season, so we have plenty of time to get you guys revved up and good to go with Tom. So don't freak out. But Tom will be on the show Thursday or Friday from Circa coming up this week to explain kind of everything. The story, roundabout way of getting there. The AP preseason All-America team is out. Cade Klubnik gets the quarterback spot unanimously. Unanimous first team All-American, which is interesting because the scouts think that Cade Klubnik is a great NFL quarterback, potentially. The writers are now voting him as a great college quarterback. But I would say that overall, the career of Cade Klubnik has been underwhelming. He was supposed to be Trevor Lawrence. He was supposed to be Deshaun Watson. He has not been even close to that. He's been woefully under those two quarterbacks and what they performed in college. So if Clemson's in the playoffs, or if Clemson wins the national championship this year, well, then everything, all the hype, all the questions will then be answered about Cade Klubnik. But I feel like this is another big spotlight on him and another target on his back for people to go and say, okay, first team All-America. Okay, guy, what are you going to do this year? Let's see it. Let's see what Clemson looks like. And if he doesn't perform, if he doesn't live up to the hype, it's another thing of like, you were supposed to be Deshaun Watson. You were supposed to be, Trevor Lawrence, and you haven't been neither. And now you're the first team All-America quarterback, not any of the other options that are out there. Drew Aller was an option. I don't think you put Arch Manning there, but you know what I mean? Like, there's other quarterbacks that have more hype around them going into this season than Cade Klubnik, but he's a fourth-year starter. So now it's time to deliver. If he wins the national championship this year, all of the hype, all of the expectations will be accomplished for Cade Klubnik. But for right now, right now, I was like, okay. Another issue for Clemson, another one they're going to have to take a look at this and go, okay, are you going to live up to the hype? Another bar that he must clear. News of the industry. I know we talked a lot news today. This will be quick. We talked, if you missed Ruddock, he was tremendous coming on about Kalshi today. That was a great interview, great conversation. Go back and watch that if you did not see Steve Ruddock, author of the Straight to the Point newsletter, gaming analyst, joining us here on the program earlier. But this is kind of wild because I think we have to monitor this, because professional players unions are now starting to get annoyed with prop betting. This article by Brent James at InGame today, talking about the four big unions in sports and how they were so in on player props until player props became legal. And now fans, aka gamblers, are consistently bothering players, both online and off, about their prop betting. Getting yelled at, getting death threats. Their families getting death threats. It's not just the micro market conversations we've been having. It's all props. And football doesn't seem to have as nearly as big of a problem as basketball and baseball. And the reason is just the nature of the sport. Because football, while, yes, one individual prop you're betting, a quarterback could miss a prop because a wide receiver drops the ball. That's not the quarterback's fault. That's the wide receiver's fault. So it's more, the blame goes around. It's more diluted in the NFL. Where the NBA, it's one guy, one player, his assists, his rebounds, his shots. Same thing in baseball, right? The pitcher's strikeout prop or earn run prop, or, the batter as to whether he hits a home run or not. It's more individualized in baseball and basketball. Hockey too, for a little bit, but hockey prop betting is not nearly as robust as the other three sports. So I think for that reason, I think that's one thing to look at in terms of the way this goes down. Those two unions, basketball and baseball, could really be vocal about pushing against this and saying, you know what, we need to put some real strong guardrails on what's going on. Because as of right now, things aren't going the way that we want them to go. I would tend to agree. I don't think prop betting should be banned. I do think we need to be more vigilant on who is doing what to players. What are they saying, writing, and have very strict penalties for those people that cross lines. But I don't think we'll ever get rid of prop betting. Micro betting, okay. In sports like baseball, okay. But prop betting as a whole, I don't think prop betting really is going anywhere, because if they make it illegal, it's going to go right to the black market and it's going to be huge. So I don't think you're ever going to get rid of prop betting, but I do think we have to watch the way people's behavior is influencing both the unions, players, and the leagues and their stance when it comes to gambling on a holistic level, not just on individual levels. Favorite thing about today. Favorite thing about today for me, well, it kind of happened yesterday. One, I was really psyched to see Dave, but two, to see Dave was really, really cool. And it's good. Dave's brother is with him, and Chris Andrews was with him yesterday. I was with him. His family was there. His daughter was there. It was a really nice meeting, a really nice conversation, a nice afternoon to sit and chat and talk football and talk sports. And I hadn't talked sports with Dave in a while, and it was really good to get into that and have those conversations, talk about the game last night and talk about numbers and talk about what might happen this year in the NFL. And, it was really good. It was a really nice afternoon, and kind of it washed over into today. So I hope to be able to do that again a couple of times more before I leave on next Thursday and head back for surgery in New England. But it was really good. And I passed along all your messages from everybody saying, hey, look at Dave, like we're all pulling for you. We're all here. The brigade can't wait to interact with you. And that was Dave on X yesterday. I know a bunch of you wrote me messages saying like, is that actually Dave? And that was actually Dave tweeting yesterday. So he was on his phone and he was tweeting. So that was, to see him do that is good. Spend some time, not a lot of time, but spend some time online. So slowly but surely, day by day, hopefully each day getting better, each day improving. And not every day will be a good day, but yesterday, like I said earlier, yesterday was a good day. So favorite thing about today was seeing Dave yesterday, and that was a lot of fun. That was and Roger, yeah, must have been one hell of a fall. Yes, 100%. So tomorrow, Tuesday, or sorry, it's Wednesday. Today's Tuesday. Tomorrow's Wednesday. Last day in the home studio for the week. Thursday, Friday, circa 2 p.m. Eastern. Thursday, 1:30 Eastern. Friday. Eric's coming back. He'll be part of the show on Thursday and Friday. So tomorrow, Wednesday, we will get to, I'm going to see if Debro can do tomorrow because of the live show Thursday. So I'm going to see if we can move him to tomorrow. Today, I know they've got Fancy Fest going on, so they're insane. But maybe tomorrow we have Debro and we'll do the AFC North tomorrow. And then we'll head into Circa Ultimate Football Contest weekend on Thursday and on Friday. Hope to see you all back. It will be a 1:00 start time tomorrow, like usual for us, for our Wednesdays, Bostonian versus the Book.